2020. Oh, that's when I started seeing her on Facebook Live.
Oh, that, bro. She been rocking.
But we're gonna play her and see what she's talking about here.
It's not that you don't feel them, but they are.
Let me start it.
But point number one, a lot of women, right, have sexual trauma or misguided beliefs about sex. And they end up in a space where, because of that, right, their choices, their trauma, their experiences around sex and sexuality end up being bad, right? And so from that, the feelings of guilt and shame are some of the hardest emotions to process, right? It's not that you don't feel them, but they are so difficult to process that for a lot of us as women, being, emotional by nature for all of us, but for a lot of us, when you don't have the right support system or you were violated in these areas, you end up in a space where you just run from guilt and shame. And so anything that makes you feel shameful or guilty, you put up a guard or a defense mechanism, you fight, you battle to the death, even if it means that you curse your children to not feel those feelings, to not sit with those feelings. Because again, it's the processing of them that's a problem. It's not even the initial, feelings of that. So a lot of things that, fast forward to us, we can't even have conversations with our moms and our grandmothers and aunts about, comes from the fact that they don't know how to process the guilt and shame that comes along with their sexual experiences, their relationship experiences, their sexuality experiences. And again, for our people, it goes all the way back to the dynamic of slavery and fast forward into us not understanding family, right? The things that were done to our culture and community through systemic racism, certain things that we're still battling with now that we don't talk about, because you cannot heal from what you can't confront and what you do not discuss and talk about so that you can process it. And so for a lot of us, when we are even talking about this part of the conversation, it's triggering because, like she said, I can look back and I could tell my mother was not sexually disciplined, but she talks a lot about discipline. Hypocrite. My mother was not sexually disciplined, right? But she talks a lot about discipline, cleaning up her house, going to school, getting good grades, me not chasing around little boys, or if I'm a boy, taking the garbage out, not worry about these little girls, get off the game. She preaches and teaches in her ways of nurturing and caring for me and rearing me about discipline. But when I look at the family structure that we come from, she doesn't come from discipline in the areas that it counts. Sexual discipline, financial discipline, discipline with your choices in men. So I've seen domestic violence. I've seen, like she said, a lot of kids out of wedlock. And I'm not talking about wedlock where there's healthy co-parenting situations. I'm talking about wedlock where y'all sit around and we can tell that there is trauma around the idea of baby daddies and fathers not being in the home. But we can't talk about this stuff. We can't discuss it because mama can't process guilt and shame. There's the concept, Tavion, of someone teaching you off of their mistakes, right? But you're not teaching me off your mistakes if we're not even discussing.
All right. So I would like for Tamla to actually get us started on this, because this is her specialty. This is what she does. And I want to see, what are your thoughts about some of the things she was saying?
I mean, I have a lot of thoughts about the things that she does, that she said, shall I say. I agree with some things. I disagree with some things. First and foremost, I think, yes, we have a lot of trauma based on things that our, I'm going to say, parents did, because she's specifically talking about the mother and how the mother impacts. But I think in general, just, everywhere, that's who we're raised by, right? So I'm going to say parents because it's sometimes grandma, it's sometimes auntie, right? Like there's different people that are involved in that. So, and we do raise our thoughts based on that and where we've come from and what we've been raised. But I also feel like at some point you also have the ability to form your own opinions on things and begin to change things and process things. And so you aren't necessarily always taught just by parents on how to process. right? That can come from a mentor, that can come from a teacher, that can come from a lot of different places. But I do agree with her also in the fact that we're not discussing the things that we need to discuss, right? Like we're not having those conversations to be able to say, okay, this is what I went through, and because I went through this, like we sugarcoat some of our processes when we're talking to people so that they're only seeing bits and pieces of it. One, I think because a lot of people are still ashamed of stuff that they've done. And so I can't talk through that with anybody else because I'm still processing and dealing with it myself. And so that's the issue, right? Like that's the issue because then I'm not teaching them from my experiences. I'm teaching them from bits of pieces of what I've been through. That ain't the full experience. So nobody can learn from that because they don't have the whole picture, right? They have the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
So that's just initial thoughts.
Okay. We're talking about directions with instructions. You can give directions, but you got to have instructions. You got to have instructions. You got to have directions. You can't just give a child this, and you can't give a child a broad, a broad answer without shading stuff in, or the world gonna teach them. You don't want the world to teach them because the world teaching they come from that trusted person, which is that mother that's under that roof. And if that mother's dealing with that guilt and that shame, they're never going to speak on it. And they're not gonna. If they say it broad, like don't be out here messing with the fast tail girls. Why? Kid is gonna always say why. Don't be saying why because I told you so. I said so. No, it's deeper than that. All that is just empty information that you're giving out, and they don't know anything. They don't know anything. You understand that this person that you're raising has been here for this amount. I think we get lost in seeing a person that's 17, 18, 19 years old. I always think of them as, man, they only been here 17, 18, 19 years. But that's 30 now, that's 35, 40, 45, that's still figuring shit out. And you are giving a vague answer or a vague description of what this situation is. And really, most mothers, especially, like, let's talk about the hood. Let's not talk about the one, let's talk about the hood. The one that's in the hood, they kids are their life. So they don't really have many friends. And 9 times out of 10, if she do have a friend, it's a direct friend, and they are feeding information to each other. And if you got dumb teaching dumber, it is not going to work. It's not going to work. Y'all are giving out this misinformation and miseducation of the black kids is so effed up, and it really comes down to that root. This is what I love to speak on because I've lived it. I've lived with and been around women who are so naive to life because they had no instruction. They came up in a house without a daddy in the house. And then it's another house without a daddy in the house. And then the uncles, they don't know no better. And then everybody, the cousins, they don't know no better. It's just a bunch of damn confusion and people being raised by outside to the inside. It's, man, our race, the media that they feed us as a people is so destructive. It's so off the wall. Like, we are so sexualized to where it's like that's all we know. We only know get money and sleep around. All we know. Ones that are the exceptions of the rules, the ones that are the exceptions, they are the ones that branch out. The ones that are experts that happen to go into other groups of different people and learn how to be friends and learn how to be boyfriends and girlfriends and husbands and wives. They still asking these questions at 30 years old. What am I to do? What am I to do? Because these people that you're being raised by have no clue. It was a song that said, when I said, I paid my dues, he said, my mom and dad was too young to raise me right. Maybe I made a man by all the mistakes I made. Niggas dead, niggas gone, still ain't afraid. That's all we know. We know gangster, we know sex, and that's it. We don't know nothing else. The exceptions of the rules that get to break away from the hood, that happen to go to college and happen to meet different people and experience different things from people from different regions. But where they come from, boy, these kids in trouble.
But see, I also feel like those people that have the exception of the game have a responsibility to bring it back.
Shit, your job is to get the hell out the hood. Who the hell want to go back?
But even with that,
But that's your responsibility.
Who
but
wants to
a lot of
who wants to go back? And then if you do go back, it's what Norris talk about all the time. When you go back and you speaking different than 100 people in the room, they gonna say, "Oh, this motherfucker, this up ass nigga, this nigga didn't win got a damn education. Now you think you know every damn thing, nigga? You think you know every damn thing? They gonna denounce the hell out you. You gonna be talking to nothing. You gonna be talking to a brick wall. Them people don't hear that. They don't.
and
They
and
don't.
it's
You might catch one of them cousins. You might catch one of them nieces. You might catch one of them nephews. But that's about it. You're gonna be
But
about
I'm gonna be honest with you, it only takes one. Right? Like you can't like a mustard seed, right? Like we talk about that. Your job is only to plant the seed. You not gonna water it. You not gonna put the sunlight. You can't do all of that. So if you're coming back and I touch that one, look, that one better touch two more,
yeah.
right?
And,
Like you got to start the process. None of us, like we're not starting the process.
and then a lot of times, I'm glad you brought up the mustard seed because there's one thing that really changed my thought process. It was one verse that was read wrong every time in the black church. And it changed when I read it for myself, it changed the way I fathered. The Bible does not tell you to raise your child, it tells you to train up
Mhm.
your child. And we in the black community, we raise children. That's what we do. You know, like a chicken that just sits on the egg and wait for it to hatch. That's what we do in the black community. We don't train up our children. Like right now, I'm teaching my daughter financial literacy and I'm putting these things into her. You have to train your child up because if you don't train them, they're going to continue to do what the world because the world's going to raise them.
Mhm.
The world is what raised them. Like Tamla said, them seeds that's planted in music, and we see it a lot in the mental health world. I know Tam see people listen. You could look at some people playlists and already know how they think about life. People listen to all this depressing music, and
oh,
you got all these rappers who done overdosed and died, and then you see why this person is suicidal. Like that's all
Mhm.
they're planting in their heads. But then my biggest thing was that we don't train up our children. We raise our children, and you have to train them. It's just like giving somebody a gun. You need to train them how to use it. You can't give it to them and think they're gonna be able to protect themselves. You have to train them, and we aren't training our communities or training our children. And it kind of goes back to our week one panel when I say that we need to start training our kids in more skill positions and more hands-on things. Every child ain't going to college. Every child ain't gonna be a doctor. We can train our children to understand that, hey, you might be an HVAC right now in high school as a trade, but you can be an HVAC owner by the time you're 30.
I guess
Go ahead, D.
I guess I have like a different outlook,
Yeah,
um, in in the instance because my mother and my father came from two totally different backgrounds, right?
yeah,
And as I speak to my mother about her raising and growing up, and she told me some things. And I asked her because she said, "Oh, sometimes I felt like my grandmother, which was her mom, didn't always do what she felt was right." Then I had to explain to my mom. At that moment, she thought it was right. You know, there's a lot of times and moments where it might not be right in that instance, but they think they're right. You're right. There's a lot of misinformation that's going on. Um, we have been instilled in nothing but misinformation from slavery, from house nigga to outside nigga to to the system destroying us. So you don't know which way to really look and believe. And if you are a leader or a guy or a woman who's up for making us famous or making us reunite, you somehow, some way get dealt with in a hard way. Why would the next person want to go and become the next Malcolm X or the next MLK when you gonna have a target on your back that's go pretty much put you at your demise? And you have kids, and you got family, and you got things you want to live for. So while we always sometimes blame ourselves, the system has always failed us. Not only physically the system, but mentally the system has failed us too. We've been in a mental state of misconception and despair. Now, all of us here in this platform, we've been able to have a like basically an epiphany of either good family members, good family, um, being able to see outside of what we used to see and changed within ourselves of how we look at things. And just like Miss Tamala said, the next thing is for us to talk to our people, go back and give them that same message. Whether you hit one, two, three people, giving a word back to them is so important. So, like what we're doing now is very important because there's a lot of people out there that have the same the same thought process of Uncle Plug, or have the same process as Tam, or have the same process as you, Norris. And then there's some people at me who see from the outside and they don't know how to get that out there and actually express themselves and figure out how can we get this all together to make it move forward instead of us just draining and staying in the motion that we're currently in.
Yeah, but I
I
know
just want to add one
normally.
thing. Plug, I'm gonna let you go. I just want to add one thing. One thing. You said, why would I want to be the next Malcolm X? Why would I want to be the next MLK? Because they got targets on them. But Biggie got a target, and people still want to be the next rapper. And Whitney Houston had a target, but people still want to be the next singer. So it's really that I don't even
Those
think that matters.
yes, it is. Who you got to see who was the individual targeting them. If African Americans killed their own, and the Biggies and the Tupacs and the Whitneys, that was our own doing.
They did, but
That
that's
was
who's
our
killing us now.
I
That's
only
who's
took
giving
Malcolm
us
X
this
too.
yeah, yeah.
misinformation
He
is our
did.
own people.
That's
The
true.
misinformation is coming from our parents and our everything else. So
Right.
that's the same killing that's happening.
But
So
but let me
yes,
Nine times out,
let me ask you
nine
this:
times out of
if
10, we go
misinformation is given to misinformation given from grandmother to great grandmother to great grandmother, what do you expect? It's going to take time.
all
It's
I'm saying is it's the same target.
yeah,
It's the same
but
target.
nine times out of ten, nine times out of ten, when you do go back and you speak to the people, you're gonna find the one that feels the way you feel, because you don't want that kickback from everybody who's not listening. So when you do go and you talk to that one, it's like preaching to the ones that come to church every week. They gonna be
Mhm.
there. They know exactly what you mean.
nah. I know some of them church people. No, no, don't let the ones
No,
that go every
no,
week
no,
fool
no,
me.
no, no.
I'm
No.
just saying.
Hospital.
We
It's a
ain't talking
hospital.
about. We ain't talking about no
Yeah.
church. We ain't talking about. I'm talking about. It's like talking to the ones that you preaching to the same congregation,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got
but
you.
the ones that's outside the church, you ain't went and said none of them. You ain't brought
Mhm.
nobody new. You just talking to the same one. So I'm gonna go back to the people and I'm gonna talk to the same one, two, or three that's gonna say, yeah, 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 and they're gonna agree. They're gonna agree just to get you out their face, and they're like, yeah, all right, and they're gonna continue doing the same thing because it starts with that root. Everything is from the root. When you are training them, you can't train nobody at 25 unless you're gonna break them down like the military. You got to catch them when they're young. You got to catch, and that starts at home. That starts with the mom. That starts with the dad.
You know what? I won't. Yes, to a certain extent, and then no. And I say that because sometimes it's about will. It's about people and themselves.
You talking
If
about
you really,
you
if you
talking
want
about
to get older, if
those are
trust me,
exceptions.
I've seen some people who've gotten older, and when they said, "Oh, I don't want to be part of that anymore," and put
Yeah,
forth an, that's like
those
me.
are exceptions, D.
But
Those,
no, it's not. Those aren't exceptions because sometimes, like I'm gonna give you the best sense. And when I met Norris, we both had a little on that heavy side, but we like to eat, right? Then Norris had an epiphany at one point, and he said, "You know what? Enough was enough." And that boy can run miles around miles,
mhm.
and he's health and fit and all. That was something that he had to do on his own. A
Yeah,
lot of this, that let me ask you, Norris, was
Mhm.
that taught to you the fitness in that aspect? Was that
No,
taught to you? No, it took you a little bit older and a little bit down the road for you to get it. That's what's gonna happen with a lot of people. y'all gotta still remember we were built and established in nothing but turmoil. It takes
But,
a lot to overcome that, man. It
but
takes a lot.
can I push back a little bit?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Can I push back? Because that's my biggest problem with our community. I get so tired of everybody still talking about slavery and systematic racism and critical race theory. And the reason why I say this is because when this stuff really started after George Floyd happened, I want to say my daughter was probably a junior at the time, about to graduate the next year. And I started doing something very small. Every time I seen something negative on social media, or every time somebody went backwards, I would tell my daughter something positive that Black people did in the community or in society, because we created a lot of things. Like, I think sometimes we're so stuck in looking in the rearview mirror that we're just crashing our cars. Like, we're not even getting on the highway, man. We're crashing because we keep looking back. And let me say this because people are gonna go crazy. I know when I flip it up. I understand that history matters. You're supposed to know your past. That's not what I'm arguing. We need to know about slavery. You need to know about all that stuff that happened, everything. But you can't continue to talk about it's 2025, bro.
I did.
Right now, we have every example of everything that we want to be as a Black person. You can find a daughter, a philanthropist, a therapist. We got people in every area you can name. It's no more excuses to say, no, man, I grew up in the hood. Well, leave the hood. Like, it's a million people I met in the military who left the hood.
Yeah, and then when you leave casualties, and then there's people that get to where
But that's not our job,
and they have survivor's remorse.
But that's not your job though. Like, your job is to show others so they then can follow.
I got so much to say, but I'm a
go
you.
ahead.
I mean, you.
Go ahead.
No,
You say
yes,
it.
you have remorse of people to go, but you gotta go. You can't just show, because if all you're doing is showing, people don't always watch. Like, you have to have a voice to grab them in order to see.
But
no. Okay, so he brought up running. I'm gonna tell you, if all I did was post a picture, and everybody looking, right? But I talk about it. I'm constantly like, oh, I'm running here, or oh, I'm going here. Who coming with me here? Who coming? So, right, like, I'm trying to pull these people up so that they can come run with me. Right. Well, why did you start running? Well, I could go into a whole story about that. You want to know? Come run with me. Right. And so you can't just show, because in showing, you also have people. If all I show you is a picture of what I'm doing, your mentality ain't gonna get what I'm doing. You gonna have your own mentality make up what's going on in my picture, because that's all you know. I gotta speak about it for you to actually be educated enough to move around and do it.
So, Tamlet, let me ask you this question, because I agree with you. With that being said, will you sacrifice your life to share your story?
Well, that's just stupid. No, I would not. No, I would not. I would not. I'm just gonna be honest. No, I wouldn't sacrifice my life, but I'm gonna put myself to the point where you gonna know.
Yeah, but people like, I'm gonna tell you, Young Dolph did that, got shot in his own neighborhood. Nipsey Hussle did that, got shot right. Like, everybody who goes back to try to go fish and teach people how to fish and stuff, it's still that one person who's stuck in slavery, who think you're Uncle Tom. It's that one person who can't wait to destroy you for trying to bring back.
You're gonna have that no matter what you do.
That's why I asked you.
You always gonna have that one no matter what I do. Now, once I know the target is on my back, I'm gonna do something different, right? But you're always going to have that one. Like, that's like saying, no, it don't. I mean, I probably got one right now. Like, but I don't know. So I'm not gonna stop, right? Like, You
They don't
always
want to
have
just let
haters.
just
It's
let
out
the family know, Tal. You know,
there.
we roll deep. Everybody will be there. Don't you worry. Well, yeah, that's my biggest thing. It's like I don't know. It's almost like a catch-22, as they say. You know what I mean? Like you feel like you want to go do these things, but then all you got to do is turn on your news or turn on your TV. You be like, man, I'm glad I didn't go back home. Like
Yeah.
I'm glad you know, telling what like I go to Shreveport, I just stay
Yeah.
at daddy's house. I don't even want to get out the house because
Yeah.
there's
But what
nothing
I
but
also
shooting
will
and
say is it's stuff like this,
Mhm.
right? Like, here's the thing, like, I don't necessarily feel like you always have to do it alone. Right.
Got
So if I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna be honest with you. If I know I'm gonna have some strife when I go back, I'm gonna call somebody to go back with me. Like, we need to go back. We need to do this together because it's strength in numbers.
yeah.
Right. I'm not going to go back and just be like, oh, okay, well, I know this neighborhood. I know, like, I
It's
mean,
also
I go
strengthening numbers
and
on the
mentor
dumb side.
places and I'm like, come on, let's go with me.
What you
They
said?
strengthening numbers on the dumb side too.
It is,
They strong over there, boy.
but it is,
they
it's equal.
strong over there with the SKR, but they strong over there, Shawty. They on the dumb side, but they strong over there. You finna get, boy, you gonna be the it gonna be 1 or 2 ice cubes in a glass of milk. I mean, a glass of water.
I
You
do
gonna melt. There's too much water around you. You gonna melt.
I
You
do
gonna either
feel like
fall in or retreat. You gonna
I,
fall in with the dumb dumbs, or you gonna retreat. I'm telling you, man, they strong over there, boy. Boy, ignorance is bliss, but they having a blast. They
I
having a
will
blast over
I
there.
will say what you said is absolutely correct, Norris, in the aspect that we have to stop the negative and push for the positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a group, as a group of individuals and people, we have to stop the negative and push forward the positive. When we get to that point, I think that's when we'll start to see a lot more change in our people. Because hey, y'all know we do love the gossips when they come out today. Y'all know, girl, let me tell you what. And then the eyes get big, and everybody sitting around waiting for it to come out. So
But you think about it, y'all. Us on this panel, right? We average about 40 to 45 years from birth to now. And look, to me, I feel we're further back now than we were when we were kids. Like I feel like we're regressing backwards. And then when I mean that, it's like I remember where y'all know, like I never even heard of a pedophile when I was a kid.
no, but
There were a million vans riding around, I'm sure, while we playing basketball and all the hoods.
it's
But
it's
But
it's
it's
did
like
that not go back to your parents not teaching you?
oh yeah, I know. You know my dad. Y'all told me about my dad. You know,
I'm just
I,
saying, like this,
love
like
your
that
dad.
naiveness. I feel like goes back to like those little conversations that she was talking about you're not being taught about.
Do you feel like the naive was good though?
yes,
I don't.
Okay,
To
yes,
I want to hear
to an
both of y'all.
extent. To an extent.
Go
yes.
ahead, go ahead, go. I
To
want
an
to hear
extent.
this.
You shouldn't have your child living in fear, but you still gotta have your child living in the know.
Uh, uh, I'm gonna give you my best analogy. Growing up, I lived. I live in Houston. Y'all know Houston is one of the most dangerous cities out there, along with Shreveport. Y'all play, you know. But I lived. I live on Willcrest, which was a couple streets away from Spice Lane. Spice Lane is known in Houston as one of the biggest, drug trafficking, whatever. Well, if you wanted to go play basketball, the best hoopers played over on Spice Lane, right? I didn't know what Spice Lane was until my father brought me over. He said, "You go play ball." I was like, "Okay, cool." Because at that moment in time, I was playing ball. We went over there, we played. He kept me out of the know of what Spice Lane was until we finished and then got back. And then that's when he said, "Hey, do you know what's over there? Because I can see you like playing ball over there. That area is a dangerous area because of this, that, and this." For the longest, I didn't know what Spice Lane was. He never told me. He never. So having some of that knowledge of not knowing was good because I didn't go in with the aspect of looking at it negatively
Mm.
already. I went in there just to do what I was supposed to do, which was play basketball. I never looked for nothing else but having him being the protector that he is, he already knew what it was, but he wanted to make sure I didn't know what it was till I was finished.
You also had a father.
Yes, I did.
It's a big,
No,
it's a
no,
big
for
damn
real.
difference,
Yes.
man. It's a big damn difference. It is.
Yeah, but I'm
When
saying you
you got
asking at
when you
what
got men
time
in the house
not
along with her,
yeah.
I mean, two heads are better than one.
Agreed. No, agreed.
Two heads are better than one when you're raising a child. When a woman has the dominant upper hand, and none against you, Tam. None against you at
Don't
all.
try
None
to
Good.
do
against
I'm
all
like
raising
that.
all girls, and
All
I'm
no,
that.
grateful. Thank you, Lord.
no, nothing. I'm just saying when the woman has that dominant upper hand and no male guidance at all.
I mean, I'm with you 100% because men are supposed to be the head,
Tell 'em,
Yes.
right? So,
tell
like,
'em,
I'm with you.
Bless you.
agree.
Bless you, child. Bless you. Bless
I,
you.
something we said
Because
along something we
I'm saying,
said
because I don't, when this touch women that don't believe that or have dealt with men who are less than that, I know it's going to strike up some controversy, but damn, don't you want some, like, even as a young man, I wanted somebody to lead me. So, because I didn't know things that that the things that I didn't know until I got older. I wish I'd have known that as a jit, and I have to go through it and have to navigate it myself. I wish somebody could have shown me things. And just like a woman, like, damn, your daddy wasn't there. Well, they kind of look for a father figure in that man. Don't you want that man to lead you correctly? Like, guide you correctly, and like be there. I mean, not to step down on you, because that submissiveness is only to cover. It's only to cover. That means only to cover and lead, guide, and protect. And like, so it's never that. So wouldn't that woman just want, when a woman has absolute power, that's dangerous. That's
not
dangerous. You trying to show a man how to be a man? Man,
to
that don't
to a certain extent, bro. To a
You
certain extent.
you got
I'm
the
We gotta let the ladies speak. We gotta let
don't
the lady give
include
her
the exceptions,
opinion, though.
sir. Don't
No,
ever do the exceptional,
I
sir.
mean, I would agree that I feel like a man needs to raise a boy, right? Like I would agree, and I mean, I know plenty of women trying to raise. I mean, in my mama's household, right? Like she's raising a boy, but she also knows from. I mean, we've had lots of conversations, but she knows like I got to put men in his life because I can't teach him to be a man, right?
Yeah.
Like I can teach him a whole lot of stuff,
Mhm.
but she can't teach that. So when I say he got male figure after male figure after male figure, that's what. And so a woman has to know that to be able to put that in their life if daddy ain't there or whatever to give that male role. The
Yeah.
problem I feel like is that there are a lot of men who have not been raised and as you said earlier are less than, and so a woman has to take the step up in order to get things done or accomplished or whatever else. And so when that don't work out, then they go into the next relationship thinking this is what I have to do,
And
and that's
I think
it,
that's
it
what
ruins it.
I'm talking about. I think that was like after, because when I first heard her, when she was saying what she was saying about the sexual trauma and whatnot, I think there was something else, like when it's hard to get a man of some substance, and a substance means somebody who can bring some bread, somebody who can take care of the house financially. Not that I think they're looking for that man that can take care of that house financially instead of being that positive role model for children. So it gets caught up in having to sleep with this guy to get him just to be there. Like they think like like that coochie will make him stay here or help take care of these kids. So I think it was a piece. Like when I first heard it, I was like, I shot it out so fast because my mind went to working, and I was thinking like, no, it was something before this where she's sleeping with this dude, sleeping with this dude, and sleeping with this, and it don't work out, and then they bring in all these men and all this energy in their house, and man, it was whole man. I was on something else. I'm sorry, I was on something else because and then it's just, man, it's hard, man. You got to choose wisely when you having these kids, man. You got to choose